Welcome back, friends, to the explosive continuation of the story of Eun-woo Kang and Chidinma. If you missed the first episode, you need to go back and witness how three genius, relentless triplets tracked down the father they never knew, forcing the Ice Hand Mafia boss to confront the impossible miracle he created 7 years ago. The Platinum Tower penthouse, Eun-woo Kang's isolated fortress overlooking the river, felt like a museum compared to the cramped neighborhood flat Chidinma and the children called home. "This is temporary," Chidinma stated firmly, her voice sharp as she watched her children exploring the expansive space with a mixture of wonder and disbelief. "Just until we stabilize this situation." Eun-woo Kang stood near the reinforced entrance, his hands buried deep in the pockets of his tailored suit, looking utterly adrift in his own command center. For a man who could dismantle rival gangs and shift millions with a glance, he seemed paralyzed by this new reality. They should have their own rooms, proper beds, space to study without being crowded, Eun-woo said quietly, his tone factual, devoid of accusation. "That apartment is what I could afford raising 3 children alone on freelance income," Chidinma shot back, the raw defensiveness of 7 years of struggle rising automatically. "Don't you dare judge how I've provided for them. I did the best I could." "I am not judging," his voice was measured, a low steel wire. "I am acknowledging the reality. That apartment had 1 room for 4 people. I'm trying to give them what they should have had from the beginning." "7 years too late," she finished for him. The words hung in the air, sharp and true. Eun-woo Kang's jaw tightened, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. But he didn't argue. He couldn't. She was right. Emeka appeared in the hallway, his young face illuminated by astonishment. "There's a bathtub in my bathroom. A huge tub just for me. Not a shower stall. An actual tub where I can sit down." Despite the anger and uncertainty churning inside her, Chidinma's heart fractured. Her children had never had basic necessities. "That's nice, baby," she managed, forcing a weak smile. Chisholm rushed in next, practically bouncing. "My room has a desk, a real desk with a proper lamp and shelves for all my books." Ijeoma was right behind her. "There's a computer room with 3 new, top-spec machines. We can use them whenever we want." Their excitement was pure, overwhelming Chidinma with the shame that these simple comforts were miracles to her children. Eun-woo cleared his throat. "I've arranged for a secure detail to retrieve your necessary belongings from the apartment. Clothes, toys, anything important. Just compile a list." "We are not moving in permanently," Chidinma reiterated, but the conviction in her voice was weaker now. "I know. But tonight, let them sleep in beds that don't creak. Let them have the space to breathe and process. We can argue about the future tomorrow." She wanted to refuse, wanted to run back to their tiny apartment where her control was absolute and their struggle was known. But she looked at the joy on her children's faces and couldn't bear to take this simple comfort away. "One night," she conceded, the compromise heavy in her mouth. "We'll stay one night, then we talk." That single night stretched into a month. Their belongings migrated in stages. First clothes, then toys, then books, then everything else, until the old flat was a hollow shell. Eun-woo Kang kept his distance initially, returning after the children's bedtime, operating with the caution of a man walking a wire above a chasm. But the children approached him without fear. Ijeoma started leaving his advanced coding projects on his father's desk with notes. "Boss, check my work. Bug in the loop." Eun-woo would review them, leaving detailed, expert feedback that made Ijeoma glow at breakfast. Chisholm explained her physics homework during the rare dinners he made at home for, her eyes sparkling. Eun-woo listened with the same focused intensity he reserved for negotiating multi-million-dollar deals. Emeka, the most cautious, began asking detailed questions about the structure of his legitimate tech firms, treating his curiosity with the respect it deserved. Chidinma watched, despite her hardened defenses. She saw him patiently explain economic principles and even watched him braid Chisholm's hair with a surprising, gentle skill. He was trying, truly trying, and that effort was a crack in the wall she'd spent 7 years building. The media storm hit during the second month, and in the underworld, it hit like a rival hit. Photos surfaced online, grainy surveillance of the triplets in the lobby, employee accounts, and a flood of speculation. Korea's ice hand boss has secret children. The scandal quickly spread from legitimate business news to the deepest gossip sites. Chidinma's face was plastered everywhere. Her background was dissected, her struggle analyzed, and the judgment was brutal. She trapped him. Gold digger who waited until he was rich, the comment screamed. The racism, subtle and blatant, was a constant, sickening undertone that made her hands shake with a rage she couldn't contain. Her few remaining freelance clients evaporated, citing budget constraints or a change in brand direction. She knew the truth. No one wanted to be associated with the mafia boss's scandal. The children noticed. "Why do people say mean things about Mama?" Chisholm asked, her voice small and confused. "Because people are scared of what they don't understand," Chidinma replied, pulling her daughter close. "And sometimes, scared people say cruel things." "I can't do this," Chidinma confessed one evening, watching photographers outside the building entrance. "My children can't live like this. This isn't fair." "Then let me fix it," Eun-woo said, standing by the window, his posture tense.
"How?"
"You can't control the internet," she challenged.
"No."
"But I can control the narrative before it destroys you." The press conference was held 3 days later at the high-profile, legitimate financial firm Eun-woo used as a front. He stood at the podium, facing dozens of cameras, his composure absolute despite the shouted questions. "I am here to address the recent speculation," Eun-woo began, his voice commanding the room into instant silence. 7 years ago, I met Chidinma. It was one evening. It was brief. And I left the next morning without obtaining her contact information because I was concerned with avoiding complications. He paused, letting the weight of the confession settle. "That was my mistake. My failure. My regret." Miss Chidinma became pregnant from that encounter. She searched for me, but I had made it impossible for her to succeed. So, she made the difficult decision to raise our children alone. The children you've seen are mine. DNA testing has confirmed it. Emeka, Chisholm, and Ijeoma are my children, and I am incredibly proud of them. They are brilliant, brave, and better than I deserve. A reporter shouted, "Why didn't you know about them for 7 years?" "Because I failed to be a responsible adult 7 years ago. This situation exists because of my failures, not hers." "But there are people saying Miss Chidinma trapped you." "Then those people are wrong," Eun-woo interrupted, his voice cutting like ice. "Miss Chidinma didn't come forward at all. Our children found me. They tracked me down using DNA testing they conducted themselves because they wanted to know their father. Miss Chidinma has asked for nothing. She is the strongest person I have ever met." He looked directly into the cameras. "I try now to be the father I should have been from the beginning. I support the woman who did everything right while I did everything wrong. And anyone who wants to continue spreading lies or hatred about Miss Chidinma or our children can take it up with my legal team, because I am done letting good people be hurt by prejudice." He stepped away, the room erupting in chaos behind him. Backstage, Chidinma was crying, overwhelmed by the public defense. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "Yes, I did." He looked at her, his expression intense. "You deserved acknowledgement and respect, not judgment." Let them try. Anyone who defames you or the children will face consequences. She laughed, a small, broken sound. You're really going to sue the entire internet? If I have to, he said, and she knew he meant it. The children's school, overwhelmed by media inquiries, asked the family to transfer the triplets. Eun-woo enrolled them instantly in Seoul International Academy, an exclusive private school for the children of diplomats, where discretion was guaranteed. The tuition cost more than Chidinma had made in 6 months. I can't let you pay for everything, she protested. They're my children, too, Eun-woo said simply. I've missed 7 years of supporting them. Let me do this. But I'm not your responsibility, she insisted. Eun-woo looked at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his intense dark eyes. Aren't you, though? The question hung in the air, weighted with implications. While her children flourished at the new school, Chidinma struggled. She had lost all her freelance work. Her name was toxic. She hated being dependent, hated feeling useless after 7 years of nonstop work. Eun-woo noticed. I want to offer you a position at my company, he said one evening after the children were asleep. A management role in the digital operations division. They sat in the penthouse living room, the city lights twinkling below them. The space between the former mafia boss and the Nigerian single mother was charged, thick with the tension of two equals finally finding balance. What kind of position? Chidinma asked carefully, reviewing the offer. Director of International Digital Strategy for our legitimate holdings, Eun-woo stated, his tone firm. It's not charity. We're expanding into the European and African digital markets, and we need someone who understands those cultural landscapes and can bridge that gap. You're qualified, more than qualified. You're only offering because I'm the mother of your children, she said flatly. I'm offering because you're talented, and I need someone I trust completely in that position, he countered. The fact that you are the mother of my children is simply convenient. Convenient, she repeated, raising an eyebrow. Poor word choice, he admitted with a rare, fleeting twitch of his lips. What I mean is, I would offer this position to you even without a personal connection. But since we do, it means I know you have the drive and the loyalty. Her pride screamed at her to refuse, to find work on her own. But she looked at the opportunities her children now had: stability, world-class education, security. She swallowed her pride, took a deep breath, and accepted the job. Working together changed everything. Chidinma threw herself into the role, her fresh strategies and innovative perspectives quickly silencing the skeptical syndicate executives who had dismissed her as the boss's scandal. She proved herself through results, opening lucrative markets that even Eun-woo hadn't seen. Eun-woo, in turn, found himself seeking her opinion on far more than digital strategy. He stayed late to discuss market shifts, valuing her sharp, challenging perspective. The primal attraction that had sparked 7 years ago began to reignite, strengthened now by mutual respect and shared strategy. The tension built like an escalating contract negotiation. Lingering glances across conference tables, hands brushing when passing confidential files, conversations stretching into the quiet hours of the night. One evening, working late on a critical presentation, they found themselves alone in his office. The city glittered below, a silent witness to their slow approach. Thank you, Eun-woo said quietly, breaking the silence. For everything you've done. For raising them into such incredible children.
For being brilliant at this job.
And for giving me a chance I don't deserve. You're trying, Chidinma said, turning to face him. That's more than I expected. I want to be truly part of their lives, he said, turning fully towards her. And I want to be part of your life, too. Not just as a co-parent or a colleague. He trailed off, the implication hanging in the air. Eun-woo, she started, her voice uncertain. I know I have no right to ask, he said, stepping closer. But these past few months, watching you with them, working with you, seeing who you truly are, I can't stop thinking about what we could have had if I hadn't been such a coward that morning. We barely knew each other 7 years ago, Chidinma reminded him. We know each other now, he countered. And what I know makes me wish I'd gotten your name, your number, some way to keep you. It's complicated, she whispered, her heart pounding. Everything worth having is complicated. He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her. Tell me to stop, he said, his voice dropping to a raw whisper. Tell me this is a bad idea and I'll back off. Tell me that's what you want. She should have stopped him, but she closed the distance and kissed him. The kiss was the desperate, dangerous overflow of 7 years of denied possibility. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Chidinma said, "This is a terrible idea. Probably the worst." Eun-woo smiled, a rare, genuine, blinding smile. The children will have opinions. The media will have an absolute field day. My board of directors will probably have severe concerns about the optics. I don't care what the board thinks, she laughed, leaning her forehead against his. Because maybe some things are worth the complications, he murmured. Maybe some people are worth the risk. The children noticed immediately. Are you and Mama dating? Chisholm asked casually over breakfast, her eyes sharp and assessing. Chidinma choked on her coffee. We're figuring things out, she managed. But you like each other, right? Like each other? Ijeoma pressed. It's a logical question, Emeka interjected with his usual seriousness. You live together. You work together. Marriage is typically the next step. Eun-woo fought a grin. We're taking things slowly. But you're not saying no, Chisholm observed shrewdly. The triplets exchanged glances, a silent, strategic communication passing between them. We approve, Ijeoma announced solemnly, delivering an official verdict. Oh, you approve? Chidinma asked, trying to look offended. We discussed it last night and held a democratic vote, Emeka said seriously. 3-0 in favor of you dating Appa. We made a pros and cons list. The cons were minimal, mainly the possibility of public displays of affection. After the children left for school, Eun-woo and Chidinma looked at each other and burst into relieved laughter. They held a vote. Chidinma gasped. They're terrifying. They are their mother's children, brilliant and strategic, Eun-woo countered. And they definitely got the terrifying from you. The proposal came 6 months later, perfectly imperfect. Not in a restaurant, but on a random Tuesday evening in their living room. Marry me, Eun-woo said suddenly, setting down a contract. Not because of the children. Marry me because I love you. Because I have fallen completely in love with who you are, and I don't want to spend another day pretending this is temporary. That is possibly the worst proposal I've ever heard, she said, smiling through unexpected tears. He dropped to one knee, looking vulnerable. Chidinma, you are the strongest, most brilliant, most frustrating woman I've ever met. You survived things that would have broken most people. Will you marry me and let me spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you? You still don't have a ring, she pointed out through her tears. Actually, I do. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. I've been carrying it for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment. The right moment was when I couldn't wait anymore. Yes, she said finally, fresh tears spilling over. Yes, I'll marry you, but I'm warning you. The children absolutely orchestrated this. Eun-woo agreed, slipping the ring onto her finger. When he kissed her deeply, from the hallway came the unmistakable sound of poorly suppressed whispers. I knew it. They're kissing. That's romance, you uncultured barbarian. The wedding was small, intimate, and secure. 6 months later, Emeka walked his mother down the aisle, his expression so serious and proud it brought tears to every eye. Chisholm and Ijeoma stood up front as ring-bearers, fulfilling their responsibilities with military precision. Eun-woo's vows were powerful and controlled. 7 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life by walking away without getting your name. Today, I make a promise I will never break, to love you exactly as you are, to be the partner you deserve and the father our children need, to choose you every single day. Chidinma's vows were simpler. I thought strength meant never needing anyone. You taught me that real strength is letting someone stand beside you. I choose to stand beside you, to build this life together, today and always. 2 years after the wedding, Chidinma discovered she was pregnant again. Another miracle, Eun-woo whispered, his hands trembling as he held the positive test. How did I get so lucky? We both got lucky, Chidinma corrected. Their daughter was born on a sunny spring morning. They named her Grace, an unearned favor, an unexpected blessing. She was doted on by 3 older siblings who took their responsibilities as protectors very seriously. Years later, sitting on their balcony overlooking Seoul, long after the triplets had achieved their own successes, Emeka the engineer, Chisholm the scientist, Ijeoma the brilliant venture-funded programmer, Eun-woo pulled Chidinma close. I almost missed all of this, he said quietly. If 3 brilliant children hadn't decided to track me down with a hairbrush and a DNA test, I'd still be alone in that office, believing the lie that success was enough. Think of all the time we have ahead of us, Chidinma countered. We can't change the past, but we built something beautiful from it. To second chances, Eun-woo said, raising his glass. To brave children with DNA tests, Chidinma added, laughing. To us, their daughter, Grace, finished, joining them on the balcony. Their legacy wasn't the mafia empire or the legitimate business success. It was this family, built from a single night, a forgotten hairbrush, and the courage to choose love over fear. Their story was complicated, messy, and absolutely perfect because it was real. Thank you for watching Eun-woo and Chidinma's complete journey from strangers to co-parents to soulmates. Did the triplets' bold decision to find their father warm your heart? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched you, hit that like button, share it with someone who believes in the power of unconventional families, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales. Until next time, remember that family isn't always about how you start. It's about who chooses to stay.